I recognize it from my phones.
Well, hello, White Sox fans, and welcome to the year 2023 and regular season baseball in 2 days. My name is Ian Eskridge. We are here on another day of White Sox Daily Live. I'm here with my co-host, D. Danny Miller. How you doing, Danny?
Doing pretty well. Like you say, we're little less or a little less than 2 days away from the start of the regular season, and I am. Let me back this train up just a little bit. As much as we dumped on the organization since I don't know, since the middle of the season before last, middle of the 2021 season. I am cautiously optimistic about what I am going to be seeing on the field for the White Sox this year. So, having said that, I'm feeling pretty good, and just looking forward to getting the regular season rolling here. How about you, man? How you doing?
Pretty much the same, I'm ready for regular baseball. Minor league season starts on Friday. Um, the Knights will be playing on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, and yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic as well. I'll put it there. But I'm kind of at the point where I'm just gonna let it go and try and be happy for a little while until they give me a reason to not be. And I don't know if you saw that quote from Pedro Grafal about you know forgetting everything about last year and allowing them a little bit of a reprieve from that and kind of giving it an open mind for this season. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It was kind of let the past live in the past, and let's judge the White Sox on what they bring to the table this year, and I'm all for it, man, until they break my heart again. In which case, you know, all bets are off, and dumping season is in full effect. So, I'm prepared for either at this point. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt for now. Like we said, same thing with Rick Hahn. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt for the time being. Uh, but the moves of the offseason, or should I say lack thereof, um, aside from a couple of signings. Hey,
Hey, Amber, always annoyed. Thanks for the sub. Appreciate it.
yeah, much appreciated. But yeah, I'm I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm it's gonna be I'm gonna go right back to where I was talking about earlier shows here, where I said you can call me Missouri because right now I'm show me, and if you don't, well, be prepared for some expletive laden alliteratives.
Yeah, you're. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna wait a little while on judgment of the whole thing. I want to see what the Pedro Grafal effect is. The Grafal effect. That's a
The
fun one.
Grafal effect.
Grafal effect. What's up, Juki? How you doing?
Juki.
Chicago Sun Times ranking on the Cubs and Sox uniforms. I did not see that.
I have not seen that either, but then again, I kind of typically stay away from the two the two larger publications that I like to call rags here in Chicago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you get good stuff, sometimes you get bad stuff. There's only, I don't know. Half the time I look at it and kind of think it's silly. Other times it isn't half bad, but yeah, it depends on who's
Listen,
writing it.
it's I was gonna say it's nothing against the writers per se. I just feel like there's a and, I shouldn't say I feel like anything. It's just it seems as though there's a certain spin that those guys like to put on everything. That's probably because they want to keep their jobs more than anything. More often than not, you don't really find a lot of those bigger publication writers wanting to really call things out for what they are. So I think maybe that's where my disdain, I shouldn't say disdain, but just my nonchalant feeling about them. That I think that's where that comes from. Like, stop sugarcoating stuff and let's, you know, call a spade a spade. But, you know, that's
And
pretty much all I have to say about that.
yeah. Yeah, it's not like the White Sox have gone out of their way to try and get any affection from any of the media in this town for the most part, So they certainly don't go out of their way to do it, that's for sure. So I will say that my favorite coverage and the best coverage of the White Sox in Chicago is James Fegan.
Absolutely.
Like
Hands down.
Van Scowen and Merkin do an okay job as well. I don't mind those guys, but when you start seeing Paul Sullivan articles and stuff like that, I'm out.
Oh, and the old bootlicker.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that as well, but
Not gonna mention any
yeah, not gonna get into that one. But
partubular names and or anything like that.
um,
I'm sorry, particular part. Yeah, that's it. Particular names.
yeah, Juki, I don't know if you can put the link in the chat because I don't see anything blocking you. So if you can drop that in there, I'll certainly go take a look at it.
As will I.
So yeah, spring training ends today. Kopech gives up a couple of home runs, and not there we go. Look at that. All things considered, I didn't think he really had a bad outing. A couple of at bats got away from him, but he kept his pitch count down for the first couple of innings, and I felt like after that he kind of started to labor a little bit more in counts. And all things considered, as he is the starter for opening day for the home opener, I have to say I'm happier to see him than Clevenger, that's for sure. That start from him yesterday was brutal to watch.
Ooh, clunker.
Yeah. And it's like again, it's spring training, but this is like we're looking at the 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 get revved up start, the one that's supposed to be prepping him to launch into the season, and that guy could not hit the broadside of a barn with any of his pitches yesterday. So that was ugly to watch, and yikes.
Yeah, well, I believe you said something along the lines of when discussing it in a chat that imagine how an opposing hitter can know that the fastball is coming right down middle when he up in the count 3-0.
Yeah, it's like
Imagine
every
that.
count, every at bat. The guys were up like almost 3-0. It was that was an ugly game to watch, and I mean, not that spring training results really, matter because you're switching out all your guys and everything throughout the entire thing. In the last two games, in particular, they've been doing that. Yeah, I'm obviously not worried about it, but it was nice to see some of the younger guys come through yesterday. I will get to the roster in a little bit, but
Yeah, sitting at 33, waiting for that final shoe to drop.
yeah. And from what I think it was James Fegan mentioned, I think on a interview on the Score that I heard is that they're not going to basically put out the 26 man until they've done their run through in Houston. So, it's kind of
That's
wait
a
until the
heck of a
last
way
minute, huh?
Yeah, heck of a way to go. So basically, you're telling me you're going to ask these last handful of guys to show up in Houston and do the Wednesday workout tomorrow
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly
before
what they're saying.
you decide to give a handful of them the X. I mean, I guess whatever you want to give these guys up to the very last minute to prove themselves, but I would imagine that most of the decisions at this point have already been made. So why even go to that? I mean, honestly, are any of these races that close? Or is this a decision that's coming from well above the manager?
I don't know. Um, I think that they've actually given him quite a bit of control over things. The reports coming out that Larry Garcia will not be on the 26 man to start the season, and
Although we are still waiting confirmation on that.
yeah, of course we are, but like the thing that I'll say is that yeah, we're waiting for that, but I don't know. I don't think that I think that Pedro Grifal's seen enough of that nonsense and doesn't want to have anything to do with it. You know, and
I
that's just my personal opinion. To me, it just seems like, um, he's seen enough of the stupid things that he does on the field, and there's not. I don't think that he's gonna put up with that nonsense. Just like the mental weakness and lack of fundamental baseball from that guy. And it's not like he didn't see that last year or the year before that. I mean, the guy's always been like more or less a fundamental train wreck. You know, yeah, he can play a bunch of positions, but I'm pretty sure you saw me say that his only real skill is his flexibility to play many positions badly and consistently find the worst baseball IQ play possible.
yes,
Like that is his skill set. And
it, yeah,
I think that you would think that a lifelong baseball guy would see the same thing. Is that yeah, the guy does have he's not a uh, guy who shouldn't be in baseball, but he's probably a 4A guy, because his fielding's not good enough and his hitting's not good enough to make up for the other.
right,
So,
right.
what spot does he have if he doesn't excel in any one of those facets of the game? And the guy can't, and his base running's awful as well.
Right. And I've seen the argument, against Romy for some of those same reasons, except those arguments would be wrong because Romy is not a defensive liability, and Romy probably has the type of power where he can hit you. Oh, I don't know, 20 plus a season if he gets a good run of health and is feeling good about himself and where he's at. Sure, he might hit you 235, 240. I don't really care. Is his OPS 700 as a second baseman with 20, 22, 24 dingers and 70 RBIs? Oh, sign me up. We haven't had a second baseman do that in, I don't know, forever. You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, I mean, well, I don't think anybody's unseating Elvis Andrus, but the way he's been hitting, I'm not worried about
Well,
it
this is true.
either.
This is true.
Last year he hit 17, I think, 17 home runs, and obviously, I think he hit like 9 of them with the Sox.
Yeah, 9 in like just the last 2 months of the season or
Yeah,
less.
he said he found that issue that he got when he broke his elbow. I mean, that would obviously a semi-important area for a baseball swing, an elbow. he found what the change in his swing was that stopped his power production from 2017 and 18, where he was hitting 20 home runs ish. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see 15 home runs out of him. Did you happen to catch that my spot on the from the 108
No, and
stream?
the crazy thing was you did tell me that it was coming up, and it was weird because right after you told me it was coming up, I kind of nodded off right in front of the television, and I woke up probably about an hour and a half later, and I went, "Oh man, I missed that." Uh, and I'm guessing that there is a recording of that somewhere, which I will have to go back and
Yeah, I've got it somewhere, I think.
have a listen. But yeah, you warned me it was coming up, and it was coming up like within a few minutes of when we talked about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't
And
mention it
I
too
felt
early.
bad. I didn't have the heart to tell you before now because I was like,
I don't care. I don't care about you. And I'm not going to watch it. So,
well,
whatever.
yeah, exactly. I didn't want you to feel that way. It just happened to be that it was one of those days where I was happy and comfortable for once in the the evening hours instead of just getting to a point where maybe I was starting to settle down. You know what I mean? It was nice to be relaxed, and well, the body kind of just told me, hey, we're not going to keep the eyes open anymore. So
All right, so I just want to point
sorry,
out
man.
that we got Pusher Robot coming in here trying to dunk on us for spring training games that the Cubs won.
Whatever. To be honest with you, I stopped. I'm not looking at the stream right now, so I
Yeah.
apologize, folks,
Uh,
if you're in the chat. It's not that I'm ignoring you, but I actually went ahead and opened up that article that Juki linked us into.
oh,
So
yeah. I have it up. I just
just
haven't
been
looked at
kind
it.
of sitting on that for a moment here.
John Rudels, hello, sir.
Good evening, Brutals.
Yeah, Pusher, I don't know. I mean, like they kind of played like head to head pretty much through all spring training. I think they tied twice and they played 4 times. I think the White Sox won one, Cubs won one, and I think they tied twice if I remember correctly. Ladder Enjoyer mentions Romy finished with more home runs in spring than any AL player, even after a slow start and a week plus off. Yeah, he did hit 6 and Sebi had 5. They were tied until today, I believe. I think, yeah, because yeah, Vaughn hit the other home run today. So, um, I know that
I
you've
say that's
seen
pretty
the
good, even if it
angst,
is spring.
the angst over the Romy rostering decision. Um,
Yep.
you know that I have been a Romy guy for a couple of years now, and I'm I'm stoked that he's getting a chance, to get on the
I am
roster
as
and
well.
do something.
I am as well.
First guy.
There's that. Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No, go
ahead.
ahead.
I was just gonna say there's that one particular Romeo Fender that we brought up last
Dissenter.
week. There you go, even better word, Romy Dissenter. But he's not alone. There's a
No.
lot of folks out there that are like, oh, this guy hits 220 and has a 35% K rate. And I'm going, yeah, well, you know what? Leary's got a 35% K rate too.
Well, I don't know if it was that
I
high. I think it was like 28%
30.
or
Oh,
25%
was
last year, but even
whatever.
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Even last year when Romy comes back, he gets he gets a back injury in spring training, and while rehabbing, waiting for his back injury to heal, he gets COVID, and then when he finally starts feeling better from that, he has a tooth infection that like basically drops him out for like 2 or 3 weeks, something like that, from playing, and then after that he needs an appendectomy. So, I'll give him a pass because last year when he came up to the Sox, he was not ready. he came to Charlotte, and then they sent him. If I remember correctly, I think he went back to Arizona and worked with Devin DeYoung in Arizona, and they figured out one of the issues with his swing, and then he went back to Charlotte, but the guy was still like 15 pounds lighter or something like that after dealing with all of that nonsense in a row. He was weakened.
Yeah, it was one thing right after the other. Just one right after the other. He just could not catch any kind of a break last season.
Yeah, no, I was the absolute worst medical season for not like one injury that I think of, like for just like the most random things that you could put together in a season. I think that's pretty much about it. So, yeah, and I think he finished hitting like 294 or something like that. Let me take a look here right quick.
Yeah, and aside from the the little back strain or whatever that he had early in the season, none of the rest of that stuff was baseball related. It was all just bad luck on his part with illnesses and tooth, abscess teeth and COVID, and I mean, what a tough break for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just continually getting kicked in the pants.
Sorry, he hit 250 for spring training, and I'll take 250 from Romy Gonzalez, especially if he's going to hit 6 home runs in 10, like 15 games. I guess he played in 20. But you extrapolate that by 8. Got 48 home runs. That's not happening. But you can see that the power is back this season, and yeah, I'm pretty stoked. And I guess I'll just go ahead and do this right now.
Yeah, pull that up.
There he is.
Pull that up.
So our WCU White Sox player for the week is Romy Gonzalez.
Right on.
I think that I'll let these two things speak for themselves.
Yeah, I like that we see you segment, and the fact that it is Romy this week is a whole lot of suck it haters.
For me, it is. I've been talking about the kid for ages. I'm just you don't luck into a 900 OPS season in Birmingham of all places. Just you don't luck into that kind of thing. That takes something. And then he goes to Charlotte and he had something like a 1200 OPS. So, his 2021 campaign was amazing, and then last year completely and totally derailed. So the thing that drives me nuts about most of the people who are saying that they don't want him is that they're judging him on last year's stats. And last year's stats are, as far as I'm concerned, they're pretty close to irrelevant. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up these
most of that stuff
here.
is outliers for his, for his very short minor league career, and even shorter major league career. The handful of appearances that he's made, but that last season was the outlier. So give the guy a shot, will you?
Yep. All right. So here is yesterday. Romy comes up. If I remember correctly, he was pinch hitting in the 9th. I think, if I remember correctly. I don't know, but here goes that.
The pitch. That's clubbed left center field, way back and way gone.
And listen to the guy in the background. He is awesome.
Romy Gonzalez will remember that one. 3-run blast. White Sox making it a ball game. Cubs lead 6-4 here in the 9th.
And I'll tell you who else will remember that. That's
the pitch.
All right, so there was that one from yesterday. And then today he comes up and
Sloan Park.
Another
Home run
one in the top of the first. We'll go ahead and bring that one up now. Don't get the commentary from the guy behind the dugout, though, unfortunately.
1-0 offering. That's Sky, left center field. PCA races back at the wall. It's gone. Romy Gonzalez having a nice 24 hours here at Sloan Park. Home run in the ninth inning yesterday, and a solo home run in the first inning today. It's 1-0.
Yeah, so I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, he did what he was supposed to do. He did strike out a little bit more than obviously than you'd like to see this spring, and he had a couple of games where he particularly had some ugly swings and ugly at bats, but it's spring training. And he's a young guy, and I kind of, expect that. I expect to see him have his struggles, and there's going to be some guys that are going to figure out, a way to beat him, and it's probably going to be the high fastball, and then he's going to have to make some adjustments to getting beat by that. And I had one person comment on a tweet that said, oh, it seems like he only hits mistakes, and then drives the ball the other way. And I'm like, well, they teach you to hit to right center field or right up the middle. And one thing that the White Sox haven't done in years, are your eyeballs okay?
Yeah, I think I got a dog hair in one of them, believe it or not.
Um,
Those pesky canines that I get going on here. Yeah, and speaking of which, there were a couple moments already during this stream. For those of you who are watching live, I had myself muted while I was disciplining one of my mouthy.
dog.
Yeah. Well, she likes to talk back, and I think she wants to get on the stream like she likes to do from time to time.
Yeah. So the one thing that get back to that. One thing that the White Sox have seriously lacked in over at least last season, probably into the last half of 2021, is that they don't hit pitchers' mistakes hard. And that is one thing that Romy definitely does. If there is a mistake pitch or a concrete mixer, generally he hits it pretty stinking hard. And I don't care whether it goes to right center or left center or right field or left field. If he hits it hard, I could care less. And he do that. So I'll take it. So yeah, stoked for him. Hopefully, he puts his best foot forward and have a good season out of him. Yeah, so Pusher brings up the JT Real Muto ejection, which actually I should probably bring that up because that's funny.
That was comical. I watched John Boy's breakdown of that.
I did.
And
yeah,
I had to comment.
Yeah, it's 3.5 minutes long. I don't want to bore people with that, but
no. I mean, but the breakdown was perfect. I mean, the lip reading that this guy does is insanely accurate.
Yeah, I mean, at least I would think.
Yeah, well, yeah, right, exactly. I mean, if you're looking at it, you're going, that's pretty much exactly what was said.
Yeah,
but I had to make the comment on that his YouTube video, and I said, yeah, that's the look of an umpire's face who realizes he's going to make a John Boy breakdown video. Because at the end, he looked like, oh, did I just blow that? Did I screw that up?
Yeah, he totally dropped the ball on that. He says, Juki Holic says, more like grumpire. Wah, wah. All right, I'm going to go ahead and bring that up in case you have not seen it. It is funny. Oh, you know what I need? You know what I need to do? I need to stop being a cotton-headed ninny muggins and unmute this thing.
Oh, ninny muggins.
All right, here we go.
A ball,
give me the
so
old
that's on
heave-ho.
Kimbrel. I don't think Craig Kimbrel was thrilled about that call.
Did not look amused, did he?
Now he wants to know. Kimbrel says, I don't like that call. Now here's the action right here. And the umpire felt like Realmuto took
A ball, so that's on
that's
Kimbrel.
fantastic.
I don't like that call. Now here's the action right here. I don't like that call. Now here's the action right here. And
Oh,
That
that was
is
a quick
glorious.
hook. Realmuto's like, what? Really?
Yeah, that was. I mean, like of any objection or ejection, that was probably the quickest one I think I've ever seen.
It was a really quick hook.
Realmuto just looks back and he's just like, "What?"
And for those of you that
Hilarious.
don't know, that have seen this, that is the first time in JT Realmuto's professional career that he has been launched from a game.
Yeah, he seems like a
First in
pretty
his career.
easygoing dude. Probably another one of my favorite baseball clips that you find on the internet is when the reliever runs in, and JT Realmuto's just shaking his head as the guy's sprinting towards the mound, and then the guy proceeded to get lit up. Good stuff.
Right.
Oh man. Let's see here. Juki says Raleigh Fingers trended on Twitter. I wonder what would Raleigh Fingers trend on Twitter for, other than just an awesome mustache.
Yeah.
What is the best baseball player name? Oof.
Steel Walker.
Yeah, Steel Walker's that is a good one.
Buster Posey.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Says he likes Daryl Strawberry.
I always thought Buster Posey was a good baseball name.
I'm trying to remember. There's been some. I mean, of course there was Razor Shines, which was a really good one. Played for the Expos back in the '80s.
Yeah,
Buddy Kennedy. Oh, Buddy Kennedy. Skybolt. That is a really good name. That was one of my favorites.
Skybolt.
And I had more grandiose plans for Skybolt, and he has let me down. He's been got jettisoned from the A's, and I forget who he's on now, but we just played him the other day, and I can't remember. Oh yeah, Coco Crisp, Milton Bradley. That was another fun one.
Milton Bradley was always a fun one. Yes.
Yeah, baseball names is definitely one of the fun things about baseball for sure. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and bring up this Cubs White Sox uniform thing here.
Some of the nicknames.
Well, I can't do that because I'm not a registered viewer. Wah, wah.
Reader mode.
Oh, does that work on this too?
Yeah, it sure does.
Louise, man. How do these people not? Oh, you know what? I can't do it on my computer though. I don't think, or at least I don't know how to. I wish I knew how to on the old PC, but I don't see that. I don't see that button that you see on the old interwebs on the browser on the phone.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I guess I could give you a quick rundown of the list.
Oh no, John Rudels, I did actually not know that. So apparently Marcus Stroman was on steroids when he was a prospect. Or at least got some sort of I would assume some sort of a PED suspension of some sort. Maybe he felt like he had to. I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up now, Rudels. I'm not going to look it up now, but yeah, what are you doing, Wegner? Speaking of what are you doing, Wegner, did you happen to catch any of the Hawk interview on AJ's foul territory?
I did not. I only heard that he did not pull any punches about basically he did not retire. He was kind of forced to retire. And I heard that he wasn't exactly
He was
Oh, what's the
fired,
word?
not retired, is
wasn't.
what he said.
Yeah, he wasn't. He wasn't PC about, or wasn't at least PC for the organization.
Yeah. According to one Hawk Harrelson, the White Sox are not going to make the playoffs, and they're not going to win the division. The Guardians will.
Okay.
When Pedro Grifol was mentioned, he's like, I don't even know who that is.
Wow.
Yeah, that was interesting. Oh, look at that. For banned stimulant, Marcus Stroman, 50 games. Yikes. Well, there we go. Yeah, so there was that. Whoa. What's going on there? Did you hear that my audio cut out? No, that's a stupid cable.
I was gonna say I don't hear anything.
Yeah, no.
Well, I actually I hear everything. So
Fair enough. There was a player that pitched in the 30s for the White Sox named Sugar Cane. That is wonderful. Yeah, so he says also he absolutely straight up murdered Brooks Boyer on the podcast. Like, you can tell that there is a severe dislike for Brooks Boyer, the head of the marketing for the White Sox. I'll just suggest that you guys go over and check it out if you guys haven't listened to it. It's an interesting listen. Of course, you get the Hawk stories, and I mean, it's a national. At least it's. I don't know exactly how national it is as of yet. I haven't looked at the. Oh yeah, Oil Can Boy. That's a good one. I don't know exactly how many, subscribers they have or whatever and how national it is. Obviously AJ is going to get the White Sox fans to come in on board for him on Twitter. But you get the Hawk stories that you would expect to get for a national, podcast or stream, because they haven't heard the batting glove stories and stuff like that. I would imagine anyway. But all that stuff's on there, and it's there's some extra little tidbits in there that I did not know when he tells the story. So it's cool, and it's a good listen, and AJ's entertaining, and him and his guys on there get into little arguments, and it's fun. So I might have to drive out to Indiana where they're doing their thing over there, because I think they're in Indiana. I might have to go over there and fix their audio situation over there, because their microphones, woof. But
not bad, huh?
Yeah, it's just as an AV professional, I get triggered pretty easily when it comes to that kind of stuff. So,
well,
yeah.
Thank God you're on our side here, because I'm not gonna say that I don't listen to our show, just to kind of go back and hear the quality. And I don't even know that I'm worried about the quality, because every week it is absolutely brilliant.
Ladder Enjoyer says the White Sox have landed in Houston, and we are less than 48 hours from first pitch.
Indeed we are.
Yeah, I'm
Indeed
looking forward to it. Now, obviously, to get back to the roster stuff, yesterday, Hanser Alberto was hit on what I thought was the fingers, and everybody was immediately, the Leury memes on White Sox Twitter immediately started flowing, and there were all sorts of tribute videos and all sorts of stuff popping up on Twitter. And probably about 4 hours later, the White Sox released a press statement saying Hanser's fine. So get that out of your mind there, Leury, I think is kind of what that whole thing was. So
you think?
I mean, it's like that happened, and Leury started unpacking his bag on the bench, and
Yeah.
starting to get comfortable again. They're like, yeah, no, that's not happening. Pusher mentions if you are a T-Mobile person, MLB.TV free for the year. That promotion's today. So if you know somebody that's got T-Mobile, even if you don't, reach out, befriend them. Some more. Give them $5. Say, hey, go buy yourself a coffee and give me that code.
I
and
need
then
that
sign up.
login.
Yeah. I'm sure that you've got some somebody you know that's got T-Mobile that doesn't like baseball.
Maybe.
So yeah, talk to them, get their code, and they'll send you a link over, and all you gotta do is sign in, and it'll say, "Hey, you got a free year of MLB TV." And one thing that I'm not certain about, because they are doing the MILB package as part of MLB.TV this year in the subscription fee. I'm not sure if if First Pitch, if that app is free because of that login. I don't know. That's one thing that I do have to check in. It would be nice to not have to pay for, MILB stuff, but I will regardless, so it really doesn't matter. But
Yeah, right.
yeah.
Or
So
you could go the route of some other folks who maybe doing the old jailbreak.
well, yeah. I mean, of
We're not
course
going
you
to
can
talk
do.
about that.
Yeah, you can be
That's
you can be
illegal.
shady about it. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You can go
I'm
ahead
going to tell
and
you how to live your life.
yeah,
Don't
you
tell
can
me how
go
to live my life.
yeah, you go ahead and look up that those sites on the internet. You can find places where you can watch the games, especially I will say, especially being a person that puts out content a lot, is that with the blackout rules, if you want to do that, you have to find some way around it.
Right.
Some people can do it, other people can't figure it out. But if you want to do that kind of thing, so apparently, I'm getting from Ladder Enjoyer and Juki both saying that the at bat does give you MILB. So
I've been hearing that for a few weeks now, and but then again, I question. You can't believe everything you hear. You know what I
well,
mean?
I
I
mean, they
question
said that
the
it was going
validity.
to. They said it was going to, but the thing that I'm not 100% clear on is whether T-Mobile's free one that they give out, if that's if there's like some sort of a like a
Some kind of
caveat
paywall or
because it's
something.
T-Mobile,
Yeah.
But I kind of
Right.
doubt it. It's probably included. The White Sox. Oh yeah. So Jimenez and the Guardians are signing him to an extension, and apparently it's from what I saw, or at least earlier today, said it was over $100 million for his extension. Speaking of those same Guardians, Tristan McKenzie, did you see that he's got a? I'm trying to remember. It's Terry's major muscle. He's got a strained muscle, so he's shut down for 2 weeks, and they're saying that it might possibly be 8 weeks until he makes it back into game shape.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yikes. I mean, I'm not going to shed a tear about it, but I feel,
No.
I can feel for the person.
Yeah, no, I don't want to see anybody get hurt. But
Yep.
if it's gonna help the White Sox, I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
Yep. Juki says he can't watch the Royals on the at bat, but at least he can watch the Storm Chasers. That is true.
Yeah, blackout rules stink.
Twins and Sox fans seeing this news first time.
Way to promote your game, MLB. We
Yeah.
want to reach all the new markets we can possibly reach. We want to use the World Baseball Classic as a promotional stepping stone to bring our game to everyone world, except for the people at home who have been passionate about it for years and years and years. We're gonna keep you in the dark as much as possible, unless you give us more of your hard-earned money.
Yeah, exactly. The blackout thing's the worst, man. And I get
It's
it,
ridiculous.
I get it from the advertiser, the local advertiser's point of view and everything. But if it's gonna be a local broadcast, just go ahead and do the local, like the local broadcast on the stream. It's like you can just go ahead and go and if you've got a regular TV subscription here in Chicagoland area, you can watch it on the NBC Sports app. So it's not the end of the world, but it's still, with everybody cutting the cord and whatever, there's a bunch of people that have to go and do it. And then if you can get YouTube TV, but then you have to put in your location and whatever, I guess, and there's still blackouts. So
Yeah, there's it's just, you would think with all the new technology these days that there would be ways around all of that, and fortunately MLB and the advertisers can't seem to get on that technological page together.
I mean, it's not like it's 2023 or anything. Like you can figure something out, figure out some way to do this. It's
Right.
just a antiquated system for when everybody was tied to a terrestrial antenna, more or less. So,
Yeah, I see this. The Chucky says he asked a coworker back in the day why he was such a Cubs fan. He told him that WGN was the channel that gave them baseball games, and that's the thing. That's why when we talk about the Northsiders and the national following that they have across the country, I mean, WGN was the most widely syndicated uh, public station in America for many, 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 many years. And it didn't matter where you were in the country in the middle of the afternoon, especially before 1988, when every game for the Cubs, every home game for the Cubs was a day game. You could turn on WGN in the middle of the afternoon and find a Cubs game on almost all summer long.
yep.
And that really was a big, big part of why they have such a huge fandom. So there's a reason for that. And then there's the other side of that coin where the White Sox tried to do the on
Sports
TV
Vision.
thing
Yikes.
and Sports Vision. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Honestly, they did the exact opposite back in the 80s and early 90s.
Yeah, totally. I mean, between WGN and TBS, it was like everybody in the far corners of any like
Yeah, it was
town
Braves
in the
and
middle
Cubs
of
everywhere.
nowhere. It was Braves and Cubs, and that was, it's like there was three teams that if you're in the middle of nowhere, you were either a team of the Yankees, Braves, or Cubs, and Yankees just because, or Braves and Cubs because you could, kids come home from school and either the Braves or the Cubs are on TV every single day.
Right.
So,
Right. It was all summer long.
yes, indeed. Yeah. So, Giolito looking really good. Cease looking much, much better again. It was like the first to second start was incremental, but after that, it's been like pretty big steps, and he looks like he's ready to go. Lance Lynn, okay. I'm not worried about him. He's still gonna end up going. As long as he doesn't screw up his knee again or something like that. Probably looking at.
No, and I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I just he I would say looked pretty stinking fantastic in the WBC. So we could take his one or two starts with the Sox in spring and say, all right, it was okay, but you pile that up with the WBC appearances he made, and I'd say he looked pretty stinking good, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree. The last guy that I'm really worried about is Lance Lynn out of this rotation. Just because he's got an established track record. Obviously the knee last year in spring training was unfortunate, but for the most part, like he's since he had the TJ surgery in 2016, I think, or 17.
Yeah, sounds right.
Yeah, since he had that, I mean, looking at consistent like 200-ish innings a year. So,
Yeah, led the league 3 years in a row in innings pitched. I believe it was.
all right, so Pusher saying T-Mobile free definitely works for MILB. How do you like that?
Wow.
So that's good stuff.
Look at that.
Yeah.
See, way to be Johnny on the spot, Pusher, and get it done while we're here on the old live stream.
Yeah, so Thankins brings up he thinks that Lynn has another good year or so in him, but thinks the drop-off is inevitable. That's the thing that I'm afraid of as well, and that's one of the things that you also have to think about with his contract coming to an end here. Do you want to, are you looking to sign him on for another year or two? Or is that a little bit too dangerous?
Is there a team
for you?
option? Under team option at the end of that contract, I
thought
believe?
he was done at. I thought he was done coming up after. Let's see. It should be. Is it this year?
This year?
I thought it was this year.
It's this year, but for some reason I felt like there was an option somewhere.
Let's take a look.
Maybe I could be wrong.
Signed a 2-year, $38 million contract with the White Sox. Average salary of $19 million, and he is here this year, and next year there's a club option. Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So, you got him for one more year. After that's done, I would be kind of, unless he is still going strong and looks really good, and you sign him to another 2-year deal. Unless he stays healthy the entire time, I kind of would not be surprised.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, he's really got to be that workhorse that he's been for the last 4, 5, 6 years. He's got to continue to do that this season, even for them to pick up that club option next year. Because if he's not, again, the point has been made in the chat as well as yourself that he is getting a little long in the tooth, and he has had all of those seasons where he is, if not the most pitched pitcher in baseball, but he's in the top few where he's got the most innings pitched. There's a lot of wear and tear. There's a lot of miles on that. So,
yes,
you put the two together.
So, I mean, I will agree that he's older, so there's going to be some mileage on it, but he was used in relief a lot in the beginning of his career. So he's got lots of up and downs,
but when you start getting into the age that he is now, start getting into mid-30s as a pitcher,
sure.
Regardless of what he kind of done in his early in his career, the real mileage on his arm the last 6 years has been as a starter. When we're talking about getting 200 plus innings a season, you could say what you want about him being young. All those mileages are coming at an older age, and you gotta wonder, like you said, is that going to be something that can be sustainable for another 2 seasons? And I'm really not sure that it is.
So Ladder says, I dare you to say that to his face that Lance Lynn is getting older.
I'm a pretty big dude, but I'm not Tonka size. So yeah, no, that's cool. I'm not going to tell him he's getting old because you know what? I got about 12 years on him. So I would kill to be his age at this point in time. So
so the question's being asked.
Baseball years.
The question's being asked if Lance Lynn could become a Verlander type where he gets better with age. And the only reason that I'm skeptical of him getting better, the only way that I think he's going to get better is if he changes his pitch mix. And it would have to be like some sort of a an evolution to where he adds something that's got a little bit
He's gonna
more
need some more
horizontal
off-speed.
movement. Something.
Well, the thing is, I mean, the guy throws like 4 different fastballs.
Yeah, that's my issue.
The majority of his pitches are coming in at the top of his arm speed and his arm strength.
Yeah.
He doesn't throw a ton of off-speed stuff, and that can hurt a guy in the long run.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about, is that when he loses a couple miles an hour on his fastball, unless the velocity drop helps the movement on those pitches, I don't see him getting better with age. And obviously Verlander's still, firing 97 miles an hour. So if Lance Lynn can continue to do that, then anything's possible. But Nolan Ryan had that devastating curveball to pair along with a 99 100 mile an hour fastball and a changeup. You don't have that with Lance, because you get the sinker, which has movement on it, but I think that there needs to be something, at least something else that's like a slider or something.
Right. He's got the 2-seamer, the 4-seamer, the cutter, and the splitter. Unfortunately, as somebody who's pitched a little bit, nowhere near the level of Lance Lynn, I'm not even going to try to say that. But as somebody as a pitcher, I kind of know that a drop in velocity on those pitches doesn't necessarily equate to more movement. Unfortunately, those pitches are designed to move with heavy rotations, but still have the ride that you're not going to get out of a curveball or a slider. So just by pitch design alone, I don't expect that once the velocity drops, you're going to see much more out of him. And, I'll call it the crochet effect, where this guy might get touched up quite a bit if he loses, 1 or 2 miles per hour average on his fastball.
Yeah. Hey, Thankins, look at that Luis Robert Jr. emote. That is wonderful.
Yeah, it's a pretty one, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been putting it off. I gotta get rid of that. I gotta get rid of that Abreu emote. I've been putting it off and putting it off. I'm finally gonna do it over the weekend, I think.
Yeah, well, especially, I hate to see it go, just like I hated to see Jose go.
Yeah.
But, with the upcoming opening series in Houston.
Yeah, I should probably do it before
facing
then.
Jose.
Yeah.
I don't want to take the hit for that. I don't want anybody.
What was that?
I should have got rid of it. I don't want anybody blaming us. White Sox Daily, it's all your fault for not removing that emote.
I don't think that's going to be a thing. I don't think anybody's going to blame us.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
I like that. There's that Joe Kelly emote though. Oh no, that's Dylan Cease.
Yeah, that's Dylan Cease. I do have a Joe Kelly emote, but unfortunately it's of Joe Kelly in a Dodgers hat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
pouty face, Joe.
Yeah, it's from one of me and Rudel's buddies, Ansel Armstrong, who does MVP, MLB The Show content. He's got that. He's had that emote for a while, and I can't steal it and turn it into a White Sox one and then use it because I'd feel bad. I don't want to steal his emote. Yeah, Thankin says Abreu, only Jerry's money could have saved you, and that's the thing is that, we've talked about that on here before, and I'm not really mad that he's gone. I'm fine with it really, because at some point you have to let your young buck who you're trying to get into playing shape, and you keep on throwing him in the outfield where he's not suited to play. And eventually they had to let go of Abreu, especially with the way their roster construction is. That's the problem. If they had fixed their roster construction ages ago, then it wouldn't have been a problem. But alas, they did not. And, yeah. What are you going to do?
Yeah. It is what it is. And again, I mean, even if they had fixed roster construction, how long are you going to keep Andrew Vaughn, your number one? Well, I shouldn't say number one, but your first round draft pick in the top. He's drafted 3 overall, 3 or 4 overall
Yeah, I
in
think
the
it's
draft. You're not going to keep that guy down for too long, and you're definitely not going to continue to throw him out in the outfield like you have been the last 2 seasons. So I don't know, even if roster construction was fixed, if that would have changed much at all. Because I don't know if you think Jose takes I don't think he ever takes a back seat to Andrew Vaughn at first base, and I don't know if he really
he wouldn't
embraces
want
a
to.
DH role.
Yeah, he certainly
Yeah.
wouldn't want to, and he didn't want a DH. That's part of the problem, is that you got this guy who you think who can put up 25 home runs a year or 30 home runs a year, but yet your incumbent is sticking around, and he's hit. Last year he didn't, and as did nobody on the White Sox, but he's still putting up 25, 30 home runs a year normally, and driving in 100 guys. But the difference is that the Astros paid him $20 million a year.
And the White Sox were never going to do that.
Probably not.
They hadn't done it in his best years. Why would they do it now in his twilight years? And there's the answer of why Jose Abreu is no longer with the White Sox.
Yeah. Well, if you listen to Hawk on the foul territory podcast, Hawk says that he directly says that Brooks Boyer is the reason why Jerry Reinsdorf is not 100% true to his word anymore. He says it's been an evolution over the last couple of years because Brooks Boyer's been around, and said his word used to be his bond, but it's not like that anymore.
I just don't understand how the head of marketing would be able to force the owner's hand.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where does Brooks Boyer stand in that equation? It's tough for me to fathom. I'm not saying that Hawk is wrong.
Yeah, no.
But it's tough for me to fathom that with all the talking heads in that organization and guys who are heads of departments that are actually, baseball departments and not, media marketing departments. Why Brooks Boyer of all people?
Yeah, I don't know. What is fairly apparent is that Hawk really doesn't like him. That's what I figured out from that interview. Thankin says you could see that he really didn't want to be here anymore. And, I think that probably what the thing was is that he probably obviously saw the writing on the wall, but he also saw what the rest of the team was doing. And he probably didn't want to have anything to do with that.
Did anybody want to be here? Did anybody want to be here last year?
Didn't look like it. Last year it looked like nobody.
Your fans are booing some of your better players. They're calling. There were chants for months calling for the manager's head. The manager who, Tim Anderson, called him like a best friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like anybody wanted to be here last year. And I honestly can't blame them for some of the I want to use the word theatrics, but it wasn't theatrics. It was a circus of errors as a a whole organization.
Yeah.
From the top down, it was just a comedy of errors, and I don't think Sox fans didn't want to be a part of it last year.
No. Just think about the absolute mass exodus from people paying attention. It was like everybody had nothing but negative things to say, and you said it as well, like it was much easier to turn off a White Sox game last year. Like I didn't feel, what? If they're down 5-2 going into the ninth, I don't need to watch it.
You're talking about the ninth. I don't know how many games I didn't even get to the 5th or 6th.
Yeah.
because it was pretty evident that they were just going through the motions. They were mailing it in. You could see from the first 2 innings, like, this is going to be a clunker right off the bat. Zero energy, zero positive looks on the bench. Everybody looked like they were just half asleep and going through the motions, and let's just get through today. Got to fight to get through today. Fight to take the loss because you knew it was going to be a loss.
Yeah, work hard for that loss.
That's exactly what it felt like. They were fighting to take the loss just to get through the day to get to tomorrow's game.
Yeah,
and when tomorrow showed up, neither the White Sox still didn't show up. So yeah, it was brutal, very difficult to watch.
I have to say, watching Pedro Grifol interact with players and interact with the media has me excited. That's one reason I am excited for, not only one reason, but this is one of the reasons why I'm excited for this season. Now he seems to be no nonsense sort of, but
yeah.
I mean, I have to imagine that he's probably softer behind closed doors, at least to a point. But my thought about this from just from the outside looking in, obviously I don't know exactly how things go, but when I look at it, I kind of think that he has to come into this clubhouse and be a hard ass because of what that team turned into last year. And in order for him to come in and completely change the culture in that locker room, clubhouse, sorry, he's going to have to come in and clean out a couple of guys, which, Larry's
we're seeing a little bit
looking
of that,
like he's probably not coming back. And, if the performance is, they say performance over contracts. Rick Hahn said that contract would not necessarily mean a whole lot when it came to making a decision about roster space. And
as it should be.
Yeah, I mean, merit is definitely the best kind of system that you could hope that the White Sox would employ, especially after last year's fiasco. And so he comes in, cracks a couple of skulls. I saw one particular thing where Andrew Vaughn's like, he asked, this was right at the beginning of spring training, and he says, "Did you get your hitting work in?" And Andrew Vaughn said, "Yeah, I did, yeah." And he's like, "Okay, did everybody?" And he's like, "Well, some guys came in a little bit earlier and got their stuff done before we got in." And he's like, "Oh, it's not going to work like that." Basically saying the whole team is here at the same time. You guys all hit at the same time. You guys get your groups, and that's the way things are going to be done. And he's setting boundaries, and he's letting these guys know exactly what he expects out of them. And I think that probably, if he sees the effort, if he sees the fact that that guys are in line and doing things the way that he wants them done, I kind of feel like we'll see like a softer side of Pedro, as the season goes on.
I think that's a fantastic point, actually, because you can't really come in like a buzzsaw. You can't. I mean, because like you say, the way things went last year, I don't know if you kind of want to pile on to what was already kind of a dire situation. But yeah, I mean, I honestly hadn't even thought about it that way until you started making some really great points here. I'm glad that you brought this up because, you've kind of forced me to think a little bit differently about Pedro's role coming in here and think about things in ways that I hadn't thought about him before. So thank you for that. I really do appreciate that, that little nugget there.
Sure.
No, I mean, honestly, I hadn't really thought about it that way, but you make some really great points. You can't come in, he cracked the heads that he needed to crack a little bit. He put in some rules, set some boundaries, which is going to set the tone for some of these guys. And we've been talking about it for a long time during the TLR reign. and the lack of accountability. And it sounds like that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to hold these guys accountable and get everybody on the same page. And I really agree that I think that's a great point that you're making there. That you can't really come in and be a complete jerk.
Yeah. I mean, you could, but
you could, but I don't know if it's going to be very effective after what we've seen. I mean, you don't want to pile on to guys that are already beating themselves up a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. That was gave me a little bit of a different perspective.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the thing is also, like he's. I think that like that was one of the main reasons why when Alberto got hit in the hand, I didn't start immediately panicking that Larry was still going to make the roster. I mean, I will say that was the first thought that popped in my head, but after I thought about it for a second, I was like, you know what? No, because when Oscar Colas is in the outfield and you hear Pedro Grifol say in an interview when they ask him if about his great game or his great play that he made, and then he said, well, I'm more worried about what he did after the great play, which is not hit his cutoff man. And the fact that he had gone and talked to Colas about hitting his cutoff man and getting on him about that, that's how I knew that I was pretty sure that unless it was money-based, Larry was not coming back. Because no matter how many times you tell this idiot to do something, he will go out of his way to make the worst decision possible. And he has shown that throughout his entire career, and it's been increasingly evident in this spring training when he's played. Like, it's been bad. Base running mistakes, throwing to the wrong guy, not being in the right spot for being a cutoff guy when he's supposed to be a shortstop, and he's not in line for a cutoff from Luis Robert. Luis Robert lobs the ball in. Like, I got into this big thing with people on Twitter about it.
About the throw that bounced into third base.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it got to. I mean, Larry went and got it, but the whole point is that I don't care if Larry's not where he's supposed to be. You throw the ball to him and you make it his responsibility to be in the right spot or his responsibility to take the ball and do what he's supposed to do with it. If he's not in the right spot, that's on him. You let him look like the idiot, which he does anyway.
Right.
So
just say there's no lack of that going on whatsoever. I like what Ladder brings up here too.
Go ahead. Bring it up.
Well, yeah, so in the chat, Ladder Enjoyer says, go back and look at all the spring training interviews you read and see how many guys mention attention to detail, and I'm going to go ahead and use the air quotes here, pulling from the same rope. He says Grifol is a very effective communicator, and his message is resonating. And I think that's a great point because, again, it kind of just piggybacks on what we've been talking about here the last few minutes. But, in order to get guys on the same page, you're going to kind of have to set that tone as a manager. We saw a Tony La Russa the last couple of seasons that kind of it almost seemed like I'm gonna do what I have to do. I'm an analytics driven guy, and did you see his at bats? Or have you seen his numbers after 2 strikes? That's why we walk a guy after 2 strikes. Tony kind of did. He played that role of like, I know what I'm doing. You never saw any kind of accountability. And now, just in the spring training interviews and all the write-ups from any of the different outlets that you've seen, they all seem to say the same thing. And Pedro has set a tone for this team, and I think it's exactly what these guys need.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like the thing is that getting, and it's we're talking about professional baseball players here, but even you watch, I'm sure that you've probably seen it, and I showed it to Rudels, and me and Rudels go through and do this like semi often. He works with Ozzy Albies on his infield work, his glove work, his forehand, his backhand, and the ball that's like right in front of him. he works on this stuff with him every stinking day to get him where he needs to be fundamentally. And the guy is a very good infielder, and it's like if that's what they're doing there, and this is why we talked about, Ron Washington as possibly being part of a coaching staff or, possibly being like a candidate for a job here, why we would think that it was okay is because he's back to fundamentals and getting these
be
guys.
Careful though, you'll get the people that want to bring up past indiscretions over the fact that this guy's maybe the best infield coach to grace the baseball field.
Yeah, but, for sure. But I mean, I'm saying, like the thing that I liked about him very much is that he is a teacher, he is a communicator, and he will get a team back to fundamental baseball. And that's exactly what we've seen from Pedro Grifol. So that's another reason why I'm liking what I'm seeing from him so much, is because it's so far in the opposite direction from what we've seen from Renteria and now and from TLR as well. Is that we've got somebody that's preaching about doing the little things correctly, and that's how you're going to win baseball games.
Absolutely.
Because you're not always going to hit home runs. We saw that last year, and then we saw where the record went, So,
right. And just to go back, you talk about Pedro Grifol, after being asked about Oscar Colas's great play and him coming back and saying, well, the play was great, but afterwards he missed his cutoff, man. The other thing I want to say about that is when, there was a speculation made by someone during an interview about Oscar Colas making the opening day roster, and Pedro turning around and saying, well, I'm not worried about that. He has to make the roster first, before we can even say that he's going to be the opening day right fielder. And to me, he says that he's going to, regardless of what we all pretty much know and believe is going to be a thing, he's still going to hold these guys accountable. He's going to make you compete every stinking day to keep your job and to make sure that you not only do you get your job, but you have to keep it.
Yeah.
And that's something that, we haven't always seen with this team either. And a lot of that goes back to the roster construction that we were talking about a little bit earlier. But the fact of the matter is even if you're probably the best option, it doesn't mean that he's going to let you get complacent and just go out there and go through the motions and keep that position. There's going to be a competition, and there's always somebody behind you. So you better go out there and do what you need to do to stay in that lineup every day.
Yep. Yep. I think that's a good note. Do you got anything else for this? Anything pressing for this week that you wanted to get into? Did you want to get into predictions? Do you want to throw something out there while we're here?
I'll say this. We have been saying, both of us, and we're not alone in this, that we're all kind of cautiously optimistic about where this team is headed. I'll say this. As long as health issues, knock on wood, kind of, I don't want to say, we can't expect a team to fully eradicate all its health issues. It's just not going to happen. It's never happened in the history of baseball. But let's say the majority of the core of this team stays healthy this year. If that's the case, I do believe the Sox have a shot at being a 90-win team again. Will I put a solid number on that? No, I won't. Just because, again, we've been jaded the last couple of years, and I'm really just kind of show me. So I don't want to be too bold in my predictions. Just show me. If you can show me, then yeah, this is a 90-win team.
Well, as I mentioned when I was on the 108, bold prediction doesn't necessarily mean a smart prediction, but I'll go ahead and throw out that I think they're going to win 92 games. And
All right.
I'm doing that because I'm trying to be positive and happy about the team.
Absolutely.
And, is it possible that they fall flat on their face? 100%, of course it is. And there's and there's a with the difference in the schedules this year, I don't know how much. John Rudels says 110. I like what you're thinking there, John Rudels.
I mean,
I don't
wouldn't be
want
mad.
to go into the season like I did last year, where I think I said I said 83 wins or 82 wins.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, it was either one or the other, and
I think
I
it was
wasn't far
82
off.
because I was 5 ahead of you with 87.
Yeah,
And
so
yeah, I eating a little crow on that one.
well, I mean, but the thing was is that it wasn't a particularly great record anyway.
No.
But the thing was that we saw the writing on the wall and we saw what the team was. Now, I see
Right.
what Pedro Gaffal's trying to do, and if he can get those guys to pull on from the same side of the rope and recognize their potential and all stay, like work to be healthy and strong and push. Like I don't see any reason why they can't do it. I mean, the talent, we've said for years now that the talent is there for these guys to take the next step. We just got to see it. Will it happen? I don't know. That's why this is a prognostication, and
I do have one more prediction. It's not so bold, but I will go really far out on that limb and say that we will not hear once about guys being told not to hustle this year.
good night. That whole thing, man. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, don't run to first base. Don't run to first base. Yeah, just 50%. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you're not going to hear much of that. If you can't play, go to the infirmary, and we'll get somebody out there that can play baseball at 100% because
Right.
your 50% good is not better than somebody else's 100%. Like, I mean, when you saw Luis Robert out there swinging with one hand, do you really think that somebody else wouldn't have been at least slightly more productive than he was for those couple of weeks that he was still up while he was clearly injured and being put in the lineup still?
Yeah, and that's the thing too. We're talking about a team that couldn't get healthy, and yet we're making them play through injuries instead of trying to get them healthy and to the best possible place that they can be physically. It's astounding to me how that was allowed to happen
Yeah,
for an
pretty
entire
silly.
season. Oh, and look at all the leg injuries. Well, we only want you to go half speed down first base. But when you really need to leg something out, go ahead and go for it. You need to make that play, that fantastic play in the outfield. It's no wonder your hammy snaps like a rubber band. Because you never really, you just let it tighten up. And the one time that you want to go all out, well, guess what? You're not
Yeah.
really fully loose.
Yeah, that's how you get injured.
Yeah, we don't half ass anything.
We quarter ass it. All right, so we're coming up to the 90-minute mark here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and call it for the week. WhiteSoxDaily.substack.com. I know I keep on teasing an article. I haven't gotten it yet, so when I get it, it'll be put up. If you are looking for the podcast, if you miss us any one of these streams, you can go and find our podcast in your favorite app or search engines of your favorite pods and all that stuff. Go ahead and like and subscribe, please. We have a YouTube page and a Facebook group. Just go ahead and search White Sox Daily at Daily White Sox on Twitter. Let's hope for a nice and successful 2023 season. It's going to be an adventure, and let's hope that there's not that sense of apathy and there's just hopefully an entire season of just excitement.
Yeah. One more thing I want to throw out there before we go tonight. Home opener will be this Monday afternoon.
Yes, it will.
Myself and I do believe the Eradicator here will be in attendance as well.
And
If you
John
guys see
Rudels.
us- and John Rudels. If you guys see us, man, say hello.
Yep.
Swing by. Let me know that you have listened to us on White Sox Daily, and maybe I'll I will share a libation with you.
Oh, that sounds like a good plan. So hunt him down, everybody. My name is Ian Eskridge. For my co-host, the Danny Miller. Go White Sox, and we will see you next week. Thanks. Have a good night.